So I really wanted to do this video last week, directly after making the What's the Best Soundwave. I got about halfway through filming that one and thought just how much fun it would be to have the next one be about his little buddies from MMC. But the other script on Titan's Return was already completed, and it would have made it way harder to get Friday's video out on time if I had started over just because it would have been kind of cool to have this one be the follow-up to that. Anyways, I'm sure most of you don't know what these are, as most of my fans are really only interested in the chug stuff, so you all pretty much don't pay any attention to third-party figures. It honestly surprises me a lot of the time when you guys don't know about some of these things. Like, I don't really try to keep my ear to the ground what I would think is all that hard, but I tend to always know about these years before they ever come out. I guess I do remember just getting back into Transformers stuff through reviews years ago with Vangelis and Pew, with every video they put out being on something I've basically never heard of. It's insane to me that now I'm that person for a lot of you. Anyways, these are the Mastermind creations Rumble and Frenzy. Rumble is blue, Frenzy is red, Rumble is blue. I don't understand why this is even an argument. The most important pillar of G1, the show, said Rumble was the blue one. I don't care what the packaging of the original toy said. Why in the hell would any child in the 80s, who is almost undoubtedly already watching the cartoon to get them interested in the first place, then buy the toy, see that the box had the wrong damn name on it, and then just go, I will never let this go! The toy is called Frenzy! I must ensure that all the toys are called Frenzy! It doesn't even make sense. Why would anyone ever call the blue one Frenzy? I mean, what color is associated with anger and violence and bloodlust and, I don't know, frenzy? Is it red? I think it might be red. All I'm saying is that Frenzy is red, Rumble is blue, and if you argue otherwise, I hate you. This has been a crappy poetry reading with PerspectiveEnd. And you may think that you know how this video is going to turn out because it's MMC, and I'm me, but who knows, maybe MMC made a dud. It can happen, and if one of these is a dud, both are, because these are simple repaints of each other. Normally, that'd be kind of a lame thing, but come on, they know it's what we all want. And, these look real good, but not perfect. There are some mild visual issues, like a lot of the flaps on the torso hang kind of loosely so they stick out. The biceps are real short here, and the shins, well, they aren't convincing at all. But otherwise, these are the spitting images of Soundwave's two little idiot goblins. Now, you may be a little confused as to what exactly these are. These are Masterpiece-scaled versions of Soundwave's tapes, and that may further confuse you. Like, you may think, doesn't Soundwave already have tapes scaled to fit him from Hasbro and Takara themselves? And you would be correct about that. But these aren't scaled to fit him, these are scaled to him. I'm being purposely vague and confusing as part of a bit. What I'm saying is, these are much larger than cassettes meant to work with Soundwave. These are Masterpiece-scaled versions, and I don't mean that they're as big as other Masterpiece figures, though I guess sometimes that is true. What I'm saying is that these guys are as big as they were always shown to be in the show. Way smaller than Soundwave, way bigger than what would logically be able to fit inside his chest. These exist for the fan who wants a Rumble and Frenzy to stand in front of Soundwave and defend how charismatic he is while being too stupid to live. But that's why we love these two little goons. What's funny about them is that despite them being purposely small to match up with the scaling of the MP line, these two still manage to be larger than a lot of modern deluxes. Aside from those few problems I just mentioned, these guys are nearly perfect. It's amazing just how full they managed to get the proportions on these two, despite the fact that they turn into a couple of perfect little pancakes. They just look like any other bot. You can barely notice that they're a little on the thin side. Of note, if you're looking for deep and intricate sculpting, these guys are a bit slick-sided. They're going for that G1 aesthetic, and as a result, they are pretty smooth on the greeble front. What is there is basically only there for transformation and articulation. Personally, I find these to be plenty visually interesting, but I get why others might not find this much to look at. Something that I personally feel is a little odd, but mildly appealing, is that Frenzy's red plastics seem perhaps a bit translucent. They probably shouldn't be, but I find myself not minding, though your mileage may vary. Otherwise, the colors they've used here are nearly perfect, with Rumble's blues and purples, and Frenzy's blacks and reds with gold accents. It does make you wonder a little why his legs got those odd blue stripes in the show. Interestingly, Rumble's legs are the correct color. Frenzy's aren't, because they're just replicating the Rumble's. Frenzy's lower shins are supposed to be an almost steel-colored blue, not gold. So honestly, if either of these has any real problems holding them back, it's the Frenzy. These two, like with everything else, have identical head sculpts, and it's a solid one. The looks of them are on point, and the expression is kind of an adorably pleased little smile, which can be a little boring when it's on both of them, but the figures come with alternate heads, which had more angry expressions. I would switch to one of those, but I seem to have lost them. 2, technically 3 heads missing in as many videos. I'm really good at my job. Anyways, I don't have much to complain about with the heads that I have, or if I could find the other ones, nothing really there either. They are quite accurate, capturing the essence of the characters very well, as both faces look none too bright, and the paint on them is both good looking and clean. Really, the worst I have to say about them is that the sculpt is a little dull. Looking at it, and I can't help but feel like my eyes are a bit out of focus. The accessories these two come with are awesome. For starters, they come in their alt modes folded up into these cassette cases. These are a lot better and a lot more accurate to the real-life things than the MP's version of these. It's honestly nice to have character packaging so small, and that's cool enough that I want to keep it on hand in general. Another awesome thing about these is that the paper inserts forming the artwork on them is also the instructions and hold stuff like the character cards in it. I know most of you are probably too young to remember these, but the insides of these used to be stuff like track listings and other important information, so I absolutely love this attention to detail, even if it's something I'm probably never going to engage with after this. Both of these goobers also come with their guns, which you've seen attached to their backs this whole video. These can be removed and added to their hands so they can be used normally. And they fold up so they can be stored in the alt mode. A very nice touch I'm glad they went to the effort of doing. Then they each come with a stand, possibly one of the coolest stands to ever come with any figure. They are pretty much just a chunk of painted plastic, so there's no adjustments in any way, shape, or form, but normally a stand like this just looks like something you're supposed to pretend isn't there. It will be metallic, or black, or maybe a transparent bit of plastic with an armature on it. This is more like part of a diorama. They actually bothered to paint these, which is nice, and these are included because of the next accessory, which is a set of pile drivers each figure comes with like they had in the show. As it would have been physically impossible to engineer it so their arms turned into cylinders that gained about 3 times their original mass as it was always shown in the show, these are sadly parts-forming pieces. MMC may be gods, but even they can't work actual miracles. Anyways, if you fully attach these pile drivers by snapping this latch down, I have no idea how you're supposed to get them off. This aspect really seems like it could have been thought through a little better. The awesome thing about these is that they do this. Seems a bit fast for how it was always shown in the show, but there was something just a bit satisfying about them actually being able to actuate on their own. The only real problem with this, besides figuring out what batteries go in here, which it says are LR44s, but I didn't have those, so I actually stuck in a smorgasbord of batteries I have of various types, which I know is supposedly a bad idea, and I'm in no way recommending you do that, not just because of liability reasons, but because I don't want this to burst into fire in your hands. Both because it would damage your figure, but also because it could potentially hurt you, and I care about you guys. But it is working for me, and I'm a lazy SOB, so I don't really want to bother getting more correct batteries to put in. Seriously though, don't do what I'm doing. I have no idea how dangerous it is, but all my research says it's at least a little. Anyways, the only other problem, aside from all that, is that it makes it a giant pain in the sack to get these to extend or retract to the length you actually want, since you have no real control over them. You basically just have to turn them on and off and on and off until they're where you want them. Anyways, yeah, the accessories are awesome, but so is the posability. Head has more range than normal, especially in the upwards tilt, which is important for characters often shown to fly like they are. Shoulders go all the way up, though the joint is a bit strange. It really wants to click out into a 90 or straight down, so modulating your out to the side without doing this ugly thing to him like the 86 Hot Rod is difficult. Extremely deep elbows that aren't quite maximum, again located in a very weird place. Though they are double jointed, so you can bend them from the lower one to help a little if you aren't going as far as possible with them. No wrist articulation, but the hands do open and close, a serious ab crunch with enough die cast in the feet to keep them standing when they're fully bent over in a 90 like this, completely unimpeded hips, knees pull maybe a tiny amount less than a 90, and very mobile feet that can do just about everything you need. So these are both quite well articulated. Not perfect on that front, as the hands are a little weird with no wrists, and the knees could have stood out a little more range. But they still walk on most other figures. Another area they are styling on other figures on is the transformation. MMC tends to be some of the best when it comes to this aspect, and here, they do not disappoint. Not an amazing transformation by their standards, but still a really good one. The worst part about this is that the parts are in fact small enough and intricate enough that it does make you worry something could break. And the end result is these total slabs. Not exactly the most convincing things on the planet, but also at the same time, a lot of cassettes did kinda look pretty greebly. I can say that while these modes aren't amazing, they are doing the job, and you pretty much won't ever be looking at them like this. If you have them in this mode, they are probably going to be in their boxes, which helps a lot with the illusion, and when they aren't in their boxes, they will probably be in robot mode. As you really never saw much of them in their cassette modes in the show, since they would either be in Soundwave or in robot mode. So why would you display them like this? And ultimately, I can say that these are both great, and absolutely only for the dedicated Masterpiece Scale collector. Do you want to Rumble and Frenzy to look really good with other larger figures? If no, I can't say that you need these. If you absolutely love Rumble and Frenzy and really want the best figures of them to have ever been made, or at the very least, the largest ones ever made, then by all means, feel inclined to pick these up. But otherwise, these are not must-haves. They are really good, but the average person skips really good figures all the time. Having other priorities when it comes to this set is perfectly understandable, especially when these do cost as much as they do. I do think you'll be missing out, but I don't think you'll be kicking yourselves over it though. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know you know what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.